Hi, it's Anna here and welcome to my video today. I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make a tuxedo card. I've seen a few of them lately, a lot of them using dies or digital cutting files. I thought though, you know what, I reckon we could do this just with a bit of scoring and measuring. So I've taken the hard work out of it all and I've come up with a few measurements which makes a card which when flat is about 4 inches by 5 7/8. So I'll show you how to construct the card base as well as using this lovely flower stamp set, which is one of the Stampin Up ones from this current catalogue 2020 to 21, and it is a gorgeous little one, and I just had to make a box to pop my beautiful flower in. I thought this tuxedo card would be a perfect example of how to do that. So obviously it does fold flat in just a standard envelope, and then of course it can pop up and sit up looking really lovely. So let's get to those instructions. Okay, so I will be making card base slightly different colorings to the one that I did before. I'll use some of the same range of paper but just a different colorway. So my card base will firstly start off at 8.5 inches by 5 7/8. And then on the long side here, what we'll do is we'll score down at 2, 4, 6 and 8. And then what we need to do is turn it to the short side, but we need this very last skinny panel to be at the bottom. Then what we need to do is then we'll pop up to 3 3/4. What I like to do is, because I'm not scoring the whole way through, and to make sure that I get this straight, because I can jump over these little ridges, so I start off, and what I do is I put a line at the 3 3/4 point down to the first score mark. Then I miss these next two panels, and then in the fourth one I start and just continue on with that. That helps me to get a nice straight line and not jump over, as you need those two to be even. So once we've done that, we'll then actually, before we do that, keep our ruler and we're just going to measure up. Let's have a look here. We're going to measure up 1 3/4 inches and just mark that very edge. And then what we'll do is we'll do the same just down the bottom here. So not on the very edge, but on that last score line before it, you just do the same marking at 1 3/4. Now before we turn all of that over, what you want to do is also find that middle point. So if at 4 inches, or not middle point of these 4 panels, I should say, not to confuse you, but at that 4-inch mark, just make a little marking there. So what I might do is I might get rid of this scoreboard just to make it a little easier, because I am using a darker color just to make it a little bit easier to see here. So what we're going to do is now we need to mark the line from here through to this edge, and then from that middle point to that edge there. What you want to do though is, you can see here the score line where they intersect. You want this line to pass through there. You can either score it with a either score it with your stylus, or just make a pencil mark and then score it in later, because this top bit will be a cut line and then that will be a score line. So just so I can see where I'm going, I prefer personally just to do a pencil line and then I can go over it with a scoring line. So just do that, you'll see that mark, and then turn that around, measure it up from there, and then once again making sure you cross through that point. That will just make sure that these little flaps later on will evenly fold back on themselves. So just to not confuse yourself, if you wanted to, what you can do is just shade out. I know this is a little bit hard to see, sorry I didn't think of it before I picked all my colors, but these sort of funny sort of angled square sections, like a square and half triangle, they'll be cut off, and then these will become part of the top of the card. The other thing we need is like a little panel that'll sit inside the card where you can attach your inside decoration, whether it be the flower that I'm doing today or something else. So what I'll do is you can just have a little look at this. So this little bottom bit here in this narrow tab will become a little tab that will attach the card. So you can either cut it straight, or I like to always cut it at a very slight angle, just so that you don't see the top of that once it's folded over. Then we need to carefully cut up until that score line. Now what's going to happen is we're going to cut across there, but what I might do is just continue on actually at this stage, sorry, and cut all the way through. Don't throw this little piece out because we'll use that on the inside of the card. So just keep that to one side. Now, just really hard to remember because we've got a drawn line there. We need to cut across this score line here, just to where that intersects this section here. Then what we're going to do is go up on the angle. If it's easier for you to do it from the other side, please do, but whatever is easiest. So we just cut that all the way through. If you feel confident and you'd like to do it on a paper trimmer, equally okay, whatever is easiest for you. Now just so that I don't get carried away and cut it all the way through, what I'm going to do is once again cut across here, and then actually on this one here I might cut down. A long pair of scissors is a good idea so that you don't have to make too many cuts. And that's what you should be left with. So that's the point, the middle of the card, and then you'll have these two sections here. What I will do, because this is obviously a nice thick card, I will actually just score that line in. What you might find when you're folding it over, you may actually like to, you know, you might have to manipulate it a little bit just so it's a nice even line, fold. So that's what we've got there. So now we'll make all our score and crease lines. So first of all, we'll start with this one here, which we're just going to fold in half, and then we're folding that one in as well, folding this one in also. So ideally what's going to happen is this little tab will become the tab that holds the whole card together, and then what happens with these ones is they'll just be folded outwards. Now ideally what you'd like to do is for those to be nice and straight along those edges. Well, that's great. So moving along, we're going to make the panels for these for this card. Now we're going to make two inside panels. They will measure 5 5/8 by 1 3/4 wide, two of those, and then we'll be using two more that will be 3 1/2 by 1 3/4. So what I've done is I've allowed so that there'll be a 1/8 inch border around it, and now I'm going to show you how to make it so that you can have the nice angles and mat your card really nicely. So first of all, I'll just pop these in the way they're supposed to be. So that's them. So they'll be facing each other. So if you have some sort of pattern or direction on your paper that you're matting with, you just want to make sure that it's all matching. What I might do is I might actually put that darker colour up the top. That might be nice. So what we're going to do, I'll just move that aside for the moment, is just sort of measure it up. So within this panel, there's sort of a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Then what we're going to do is carefully pick that up, lift it over. We're just going to make a little line here, and then we'll remove that. So once again, matching those up, putting right sides together, because this is needing to be mirrored. And then all we're going to do, because I've taken 1/8 inch off that end, I'll just be wanting to make a 1/8 inch shorter on this side. So I'll just grab my scissors. Now if you've got some nice long scissors, perfect. If not, you can do it also on a paper cutter, sorry, which will be great. So I'll just make a little cut there. That's about 1/8 of an inch shorter than that edge. So when we go to put those in, you should have a really nice border all the way around. Okay, so that's with those ones there. So with this one here, what we'll do, once again, match those up. That's them there. So that pattern just continues along. So we're just going to put those in wrong sides together. And then we just need to marry up on this side once again. You probably just need to do it with one. But actually the easiest way to do this is to grab a ruler. So along that score line, you can sort of see it at the top and the bottom there. Just run your ruler, a little mark there. And once again, what we want to do is cut it back 1/8 of an inch. So just a rough 1/8 of an inch. And then again on this side. Okay, so now what you should find is you will have, once that's closed, 2 pieces that are like that. And then actually these will go out this way, but you can just match up your So before we can finish off the card and close it all up, we need to put our matting in. So I'll just go ahead and stick all of that together. So for this card, I'm going to be using the Art Gallery Stampin' Up set, which is part of the January to June mini catalogue for Stampin' Up. It is such a gorgeous little 2-step stamping set with the flowers, and when I saw this, I immediately thought I would love to do like a flower in a box type thing. So this is how this card came about. So what you'll see is I've actually on this occasion bought this whole sort of suite, and it's the Fine Art Floral Suite. It's a bit of a mouthful. And it comes with obviously the stamp set, coordinating dies, some beautiful acetate paper, which I'm not using in this project but will in another. This beautiful gilded leaf foil, which I'll be showing you how to use shortly. There's an embossing folder, there's ribbon, and also the heat and stick powder, which you use with that gilded foil, and of course the gorgeous paper that comes with that. So it's a really nice set. It helps you to really easily coordinate everything. So I'll go ahead and show you how it all comes together. So I just want to show you how the 2-stamp stamping works with these 2 layered stamps. So firstly, what I'm going to do is demonstrate in the Stamparatus, which is a fabulous stamping precision tool. It gives you that really easy, quick way of, you know, lining stamps up where there's sort of all the guesswork is taken out of it. So what I'll do is, firstly, I have here my base. So this is the bottom. Usually you'll use a lighter colour, and in today's example I'm going to be using Coastal Cabana. So I'll just move it along slightly. So I've got my paper all ready to go. I'm just stamping, putting a nice even coat of stamp on that. Ink. Now, if you don't get it all, it doesn't matter, because that's the beauty of this tool, is that if you don't get great coverage first time round, you can always go over it again in exactly the same spot. So it's very, very handy. So there you go. I think that's great. I quite like it. And because it's a 2-stamp situation, I'm really quite okay with that being the way it is. So I will close up that ink pad. And then I'll get my, so Pretty Peacock is going to be highlighting the top of that flower. Just pop that there. So what you need to do then is just over over the top of that. So you just sort of, you know, marrying up, put it wherever you think you want to rest that on top. It gives you a good look there. And then I'm just going to pop that there. Alright, great. Just fixing that up. So once again, it's just a matter of inking up. Sorry, that's probably just off screen, but you just be inking up that second piece and laying that on top. So if you were making a few of these cards and wanted to do, you know, a few flowers, you just have both plates going and you just keep changing over your paper, and, you know, seriously, it can't really get any easier than that. So there you go. So really lovely. Oh, we didn't get it all, so that's just goes to show you can just go back over, and that's worked out just beautifully. So you could just, you know, change paper over and just keep going back and forth and making it a really easy, quick process if you're making a group of cards or just wanting to make sure you line that up really well. So I have my stamped images now cut out with my die cutting machine. So basically I didn't show you how to do the leaf, just straightforward stamping and cutting out with a die cutting machine, and then I've also done the flower as well. What I would like to show you though is how to use this gilded leafing product. I just love anything foily, sparkly. I think that, you know, it just adds a really nice detail to your work. So it's very similar to heat embossing in the same sort of practice, just, you know, obviously using different products. I am denied about whether I should use one of these powder tools, and I've decided to go ahead with it. I did it with and without, and I found for me it worked better if I put a little bit of powder just to remove any static and anything else. So what I'll do is, as you would, stamp your image with some Versamark or some sort of sticky type ink. Now I'm just going to pop that right in the middle there. Okay, so that's the first step, getting that ink on. Now the next thing we want to do is just to pop on some of this gorgeous little heat and stick. So literally we're just covering it as we would with an embossing powder. Just lift that up. So as long as that's got all the coverage, just give it a little tap as you would. And you might be able to see that there's just that powder there. So I'll just collect the rest of that, put it back in its container. Now this, if you've ever used any gilding leaf products before, you may know that it is something that, because it's so feathery and light, any sort of wind or movement will actually cause it to blow all over the place, and you'll be caught up in a whole room full of this. So it's quite tightly packed in here. But yes, what you don't want is your heat tool blowing air and this open and all over the place. Some people do put it in a large container so that, you know, if it does fly up, it sort of is still well contained. I'm only doing a really small bit, so I'm just going to do it just in there. I'm just loosening that lid, but I will close it over. No, I won't screw it, but just pop that on there. Now I'm just going to run my heat tool to make this little heat and stick powder, just to get it sticky. So give me a minute and I will get all of that sorted. Okay, so it really is just a really light bit of heat, just until it just becomes sticky. You'll see that'll quickly change colour, and that is all you need. Really, really quite brief. So I'll just lift that up. As you can see, it's just gone a sort of clear colour now. So you want to work reasonably quickly. Once again, really carefully. Just taking a couple of pieces out. And actually that might almost be enough because it's quite a big piece. But that will really just stick nicely. Now I want to sort of pop that lid back on straight away again. And then just with a little brush, I've just got this little wooden toothbrush from the supermarket. Any type of brush that's got just a nice little bristle. And there you can see. So it just adds the most beautiful detail to your project quite easily. So putting this, all the final touches onto this card now, what I've done is I've actually put a little piece of foam tape here, which is a Stampin' Up dimensional, if you're using those, or just some foam tape. I found for this particular card it actually sat quite nicely, being a little raised from that tab. You could adhere it, you know, just as you wish. What I have done is I've put the flower together. So as you'll notice, I've stuck the base to the flower, or the stem to the flower, and then I've just stuck it onto this piece of acetate here. Now I've just sort of roughly measured, you know, sort of had a look there. How will it look once it's all closed up? Just whatever your personal preference is, where you want that to sit. I'm quite happy with that. So what I'll do is I'll just lift that one there, and I'll add that on. So that was about the bottom, so you can easily center it. Makes it nice and easy to sort of set it up there. Now I will just put some tape runner on this. We'll close this up. So just closing that up. Ideally you probably want to use a liquid glue or a double-sided tape, something a little bit stronger, but just for demonstration purposes I'm just using the tape runner because it's nice and quick. And our last couple of things, a bit of ribbon. So I just want to sort of run that all the way around on there. Now what I like to do, because this is a card that's going to be open and closing and this ribbon will be moving quite easily for it to fall off, so I just run a little bit of this tape runner around where I want it to be. So I'll start on the back. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of want that sort of centered between that bit there. So I'll just have a look and see where I want that. So that's sort of roughly around an inch up. So I'll just put a bit of tape there, oh, bit of tape runner there. Now because this is going to be tied at one side, we'll need one side longer than the other. So we just want to make sure that we allow for that. So I'm just going to, yep, that looks good. So I'll just sort of put that on there, and then same again, I'll just put a little bit more runner. It doesn't need to be all the way through, just as long as it's got something to adhere to, so it won't leave us when it's being opened and closed. And just a nice simple bow. Just twirl that around. Oh, sorry. Of course it's not going to work for me lovely on screen. This is just a gorgeous little lame sort of highlighted ribbon. Now I'll just fix that up. Of course I'll just neaten up those edges. Move that out the way. And of course our absolute last little embellishment will be the sentiment, and on this occasion it is just the word thank you. And I'll have that sitting just on this little bit of ribbon here. So there's your flower in a box. So Tuxedo card, I'll just spread that a little bit more. And such a cute, gorgeous card. So obviously flat in an envelope and then 3D for display. Hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Hopefully you'll give it a go yourself. I'd love to see any projects you might be working on if you give this one a go. And look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks very much for watching.